Hey, what's going on? According to the patch notes, one of the biggest gameplay fixes is for suspects firing faster than intended on hard difficulty, which means the game should now feel a lot more in line with what the challenge level is supposed to be, instead of suddenly turning into something that feels unfair for no good reason. That alone matters a lot because when a tactical shooter feels off by even a little bit, you notice it right away. The whole point is pressure, timing, positioning, and control, not enemies, behaving in a way that makes you think the rules changed halfway through the fight. The update also fixes a crash in the replay viewer when skipping or changing playback speed in a New America replays, which is the kind of thing that probably sounds niche until you are actually trying to review a run and the game boots you out for no reason. That is the sort of fix that players may not celebrate immediately. But over time, it makes a huge difference because it keeps the game usable and keeps the experience from feeling messy. What really stands out in this patch is how many of the fixes are tied to individual missions, because that usually means the developers were digging into specific problem spots instead of just throwing out a blanket stability pass and hoping for the best. In No Good Deed, the haunted house was appearing too dark, so the scene should now be much easier to read visually, and the infamous rubber ducks were also causing performance issues, which is one of those details that sounds funny on the surface but is actually a real technical problem if the level is stuttering or running badly. Then there's All Gods Burn on Xbox and PS5 where invisible shelves have been cleaned up, which sounds like a minor correction until you remember that missing or broken level geometry can mess with movement, cover, and basic awareness in a game where every corner matters. A New America got a whole stack of adjustments too. Sprinklers were causing performance drops, endings were triggering while the player was dead, and there was a multiplayer explosion issue where the blast would not trigger if the VIP had been apprehended, but not disarmed before the jammer expired. That last one is the kind of bug that can completely change how a mission resolves, so fixing it should make co-op runs much more reliable. In other words, this patch is not trying to reinvent the game. It is trying to make the missions behave properly so the tension comes from the action itself instead of from broken logic. There are also platform-specific fixes in here that matter a lot for players on console and on the Xbox PC Store version. On Xbox, an invisible microwave has been fixed, which is hilarious to say out loud, but it still matters because when objects are missing from the world, it can create confusion or even break immersion in a big way. The patch also fixes graphics presets not applying correctly on launch for Xbox, which is the sort of problem that can make the game feel inconsistent every time you start it up, especially if you are trying to tune visuals or performance to your setup. For the Xbox PC Store version, there is a rare gameplay crash fix, which is the kind of line everybody wants to see because rare crash still means somebody is going to hit it at the worst possible moment. There are also miscellaneous fixes that improve lighting when using magnified optics and address a rare crash tied to physics particles. That combination tells you the update is doing a lot of quiet work under the hood because optics lighting affects how clearly you can read a target, and physics crashes are the sort of thing that can feel random and impossible to predict until they are finally stamped out. When you put all of that together, the update reads like a pretty solid maintenance pass. Less weirdness, fewer crashes, better mission behavior, and a cleaner experience across PC and console. It is not the kind of patch that changes the identity of the game, but it absolutely helps the game feel more dependable, and for a tactical shooter, that reliability is everything. So if you have been waiting for a patch that smooths out the rough spots without turning the whole experience upside down, this one is doing exactly that, and it is the kind of update that quietly improves how the game feels from one run to the next.